And so at this time in our country, in this time in our world, where there is so much that is storming, there is so much that is topsy-turvy, there is so much that is happening, and looking around us, we see so many institutions breaking apart, and so many needs for worry and concern, the headlines, the news, all the upsetting things in our world. And so it's the perfect time for this class to step forward to be these practitioners. Because who do we think is going to change our world? Do we think that war is going to stop it? Do we think that the banks, the financial organizations are going to solve it? Do we think the governments are going to change it? Do we think that organizations have the answer? And these are questions that we all struggle with every single day. And what we try and do, I think most of us, we try just to basically take care of ourselves and lead good lives. And that means we take our vitamins, right? We try and get a good night's sleep. We try and eat right, maybe exercise a little bit. Those of us who are really into it might have a little spiritual practice that we do. But I think that it's really easy to forget the power of someone like these people in blue here and the presence that they have and what it means to sit in the presence of someone who knows the truth of life and who is looking at the inside of life. And we forget to do this. We forget to come and sit with these practitioners who are able to ground us, who are able to know the truth, and through their prayers are able to recenter us and to remind us that there is, in fact, more to life than the outer world. They remind us of the truth of life. And this is the role of the practitioner, to be the ones who are there, grounded, sure of the truth, centered in their own spiritual practice, loving God. There's a story in the East that's told about a man, a very handsome man, who fell madly in love with the female goddess of wisdom. And wisdom lived upstairs in an apartment along the dusty street. But her shutters were drawn, and every day he would walk by her house, and all he could see was the outside. And so he was seeking that wisdom, but couldn't find it. He kept walking, and his intention grew, and he had a deep intention within his heart to understand life and to understand wisdom. And she felt his intention, and so gradually she opened the shutters just a little bit, so he was able to peek in. And when he caught sight of the beauty of wisdom, his heart caught fire, and he became impassioned with the idea of it. And he began to pursue her avidly, and to come more often. And eventually she walked out onto the balcony and she revealed herself to him, where he fell desperately in love, and it became his life. And from that point on, he was there constantly, and eventually she invited him upstairs into her chamber, and she revealed the secrets of life to him, and he found wisdom for his own. And I tell you this story today because I think it reminds us of these practitioners. I know those of you who have supported these students as they've walked this path, you've seen this happen to them. You've seen that they no longer were satisfied with looking at life from the outside, and that they began to have that passion, that interest in finding out the true answers, of moving into the inside. And they engaged in their studies, and they began to read, and they began to meditate, and they began to pray, and they began to avidly pursue their spiritual practice in such a way that it became a passion, and then they caught fire with it, and it ignited in their heart, and it became their life. And at this point, that presence of God that is so real for all of us became a real, living, vital force that sits at the heart of each practitioner, and wisdom revealed its secrets to them. But there's more to it than this. Not only have these practitioners studied, they also have learned so many amazing skills. They've learned to be able to listen. Do you know what a blessing it is to have someone just listen to you? They are trained listeners. They've been able to see the truth in you. They can look you in the eye and know who you really are, even when the storm clouds of the world are on top of you and you've forgotten who you are. These practitioners see that truth of you. And more importantly, they are able to pray with you and to call forward that word of truth that transforms your life, that heals you. heals you in the realization that life truly is a spiritual adventure, that the inside is where the truth is found, and that that is, in fact, the answer to our world. And so today, as these graduates come forward, they all know what I'm talking about. They are all trained listeners. They're all trained in the art of prayer. They're all trained to see the truth of life. And so today, as I issue a call to you, I'm calling you to step into your training. I'm calling you to be who you have arrived at being. And so the question always comes forward, well, how do I begin? And I will tell you, I'm calling you to begin now. I'm calling you to begin with the person next to you, with the stranger, with the friend, with the family member, with every person that you encounter, with every headline that you read, with all that happens in your life. I'm calling you to begin, to step into the power of who you know that you are. I'm calling you to make yourself available. It's easy to be busy. It's hard to be available for this kind of work. So I'm calling you to arrange your lives in such a way so that you have the time, and that when someone comes to you and is in pain or is in sorrow and needs a prayer or just needs for you to listen, that you're able to find within your own schedule the time to make yourself available to do that. And I'm calling you to remember the truth, and to stand in the truth. And the interesting thing I think about spiritual living in our world these days is that we're not really called to give up our lives. So I'm not asking you today, and none of us expects you today to give up your lives. We don't expect you to give up your families. We don't expect you to give up your hobbies, the things that you love. We don't even expect you to give up work that you love doing, or anything of that nature that is so important. Don't give up your dreams. We're not asking you to give up yourself. We're asking you to be yourself. And when you step into that inner knowing, when that inner self becomes so real for you, all it means is a change of perspective. It means that God returns to the center of your life, which is where it belongs. And when that happens to you, your entire life transforms. When that happens to you, our lives transform. Because when you're able to sit at the center of you, when you're able to allow that transformation to take place in you, when God becomes so powerful, so present, so real to you, when you're able to hold that space for us, that's the answer. It's the answer that everyone here is looking for. And that's how this world transforms, one by one, prayer by prayer, practitioner by practitioner, moment by moment. And it's all that anyone can do. But you do it so well. And so today I call you to the beauty and the power and the presence and the magnificence of all of this, to stand up and be who you're trained to be, to make time for it, to speak out, to be patient and listen, and allow that love of God that lives at the center of you to fly open through the windows, to allow that wisdom that lives at the center of you to be available to everyone in this world. And that truly is the change that we are all seeking on this planet. And so today, as I call you to all of this important work, as this community of the heart and of the spirit embraces you, I just want to thank you for the long road that you have walked, for the deep work that you have done and continue to do, and we stand so proudly with you. Thank you for saying yes to being a practitioner of truth. Namaste.